What's up, everybody? Well, Raw and Impact both just ended, and I was going to make this video tomorrow, but I just could not wait. I had to let it out. I had to say what I gotta say. Let me just start out by saying TNA officially kicked WWE's ass tonight. Without a doubt. From start to finish, TNA kicked ass, and they won the battle of the Monday Night War tonight. Am I shocked by it? No, I'm not shocked at all, because I knew TNA would pull out all the stops. They had to be the ones to prove something tonight, and they went out there and they proved it. What I'm shocked about is Vince seemed like very lackluster and wanting to put out a product tonight that was going to counter what TNA was going to do. It just seemed like Vince didn't give a shit. And honestly, when the ratings come out, yeah, Raw will probably get a bigger rating than Impact, without a doubt. I don't see Impact getting a 2.0 or even higher, unfortunately, and it's a damn shame, because tonight all those guys went out there and all those girls went out there and they bust their ass for the audience to see, and it was a great night. Now, granted, the Steel Asylum ending was a little botch, and I didn't like Tara losing the title, having another short title run, which was just a damn shame. But by far, Hamada and Kong versus Sarita and Taylor Wilde was an amazing match. And what can you say about AJ versus Kurt Angle? It was fucking unbelievable. They pulled out all the stops. We had a lot of people coming backstage. Jeff Hardy, who I thought was just going to be backstage, I didn't think he was going to make an appearance. He made an appearance. You had Val Venus and Orlando Jones making appearances backstage, which I know didn't mean much, but still seeing them. Ric Flair coming out, which I knew there was talks of Flair coming out. I was shocked that we didn't really get to see Mr. Kennedy. And definitely having Scott Hall and X-Pac, I mean, there was thoughts about them coming back. Didn't think that they would, but definitely now they're back. So now you got a hint of the old NWO, maybe Wolfpack being reformed. This was a great night for TNA. They really pulled out all the stops. I gotta say, now the big moment on Raw, we gotta talk about Brett and Shawn. Finally, after 12 years, they got back in the ring. They had a face-to-face showdown, and I gotta say, I was really disappointed in this. I wanted so much more from this, so much more. Now, yes, I was happy to see them both in the ring together. I was marking out. I was like, finally, they're talking to each other. When they shook each other's hand, I was like, yes. But to me, it just seemed like that whole segment was rushed. Brett hasn't been the same after his stroke, and he just shows like no emotion to what he does now. And maybe it's because of the stroke he had, or just, I don't know, maybe with old age, but it just seemed like Brett wasn't into the segment at all. When they hugged and they embraced each other, I wanted more. I wanted to see more emotion out of it, and Brett didn't show no kind of emotion, and that really bothered me there. It's just like, I was happy for the moment, but I just wasn't fully 100% into the moment, and I wanted so badly to get into that moment, because I was marking out, waiting for this to finally happen, and it just didn't reach the amount that I wanted. And after that, you know, Raw had nothing else to counter TNA. I mean, Kofi versus Orton was slow. You had a fatal four-way match to determine the number one contender for an IC title. It was, you know, it was lackluster. Melina's out. Now they're starting a women's tournament, and I'm hoping now that this will be the chance for Gail Kim to finally step up and be the top face on Raw, even though we all know Maurice is going to win the Divas title again, but at least have Gail Kim win some matches and have some kind of recognition. But other than that, going back to TNA Impact, it was an amazing night. They had some great matches. I was drawn to TNA more. I was more excited to watch TNA. It just had that vibe, that atmosphere, that excitement that I wanted to see on a wrestling show, and it had everything. They pulled out all the stops. Congratulations to everyone in TNA. They definitely won tonight. Now, I hope they get the big rating, but I know they're not going to get the big rating, but they definitely deserve a big round of applause. They deserve a lot of props. They really worked their ass off, and I was excited. I was really excited for tonight. You know, it felt like the old days with me flipping the channels, watching both shows, but definitely now I got a DVR, so I recorded both shows, which I'm happy to see. Not like the old days when there wasn't no DVR, and I was like switching off to Raw and Nitro, and you know, I was just so like just into it. but definitely it had that atmosphere of being this excitement for wrestling. I know some people may be like, well, oh, we saw a lot of old timers in TNA. It felt like WCW Part 2, and yes, I felt like that too. But like, oh, this is like so WCW. Why is all these old timers popping up? But you know what? People want to see them. There is a place to see the old timers that was stars back in the Attitude Era and back in the Nitro days. People want to see them back, and there's definitely that amount of adulation that people want to see them come back. So definitely Hogan knew what to do. Even though I'm not a big Hogan supporter, I can't stand the man, but he definitely knew what to do. And you know, he's going to bring a lot of his friends over. He's going to try to change things up. You know, he was talking about tonight how he wants the young guys to get more of a shot, and whether he honestly is not lying about that, I hope it's true. I hope he does give the young guys a shot and know what's good for business. But only time will tell. I still think Hogan is a cancer, but only time will tell. We'll find out what happens. But for now, definitely TNA won tonight, hands down, from start to finish. TNA won. WWE flopped, and I'm just so disappointed in Bret's return. Even though, like, I knew, like, during the end of Raw, you know, Vince was going to turn on Bret, and they're definitely going to set up a Vince versus Bret. Definitely, I see Vince versus Bret at WrestleMania. It's bound to happen. Vince versus Bret at WrestleMania. One last match for Bret. But I just don't know what kind of condition Bret's going to be in. I just don't think he's going to be the same. I did appreciate the crowd somewhat. You know, in a TNA crowd, they were chanting, you know, who needs Bret? But then if you notice, in the WWE crowd, they were actually chanting for Hogan. So it's like TNA completely just whooped ass tonight. Now, the WWE fans did give Bret a good round of applause, but it wasn't as much as I wanted. I mean, it's kind of like bad that they weren't in Ohio tonight. I don't think Ohio is a big wrestling, you know, city, but they did give Bret a proper, you know, amount of applause. But ultimately, the fans, as you've seen from Raw and from TNA, they were all TNA. I mean, the TNA fans were rabid, way better, and definitely from start to finish, like I said, TNA won, and I just got to get it out on my chest. I had to talk about it right now. TNA definitely won, so congratulations to TNA. Now, only time will tell. We'll find out what the ratings are, but definitely look for Raw to have the better rating because Raw just has that staple. TNA, I hope TNA does more than a 2.0, but honestly, I think they're probably going to get a 0.9 or a 1.0, unfortunately, and that's not what they deserve. They deserve higher than that because they kicked ass. So that's all I got to say for now. Gilbert Blaze out. Can't wait to hear all your comments about it. There's going to be a lot of talk about this. Can't wait to hear what everybody got to say. Peace.